Hello, you Germans.
Pump up the jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is pumping. Look ahead, the crowd is jumping.
Everyone, and welcome back to Pump Up the Jam, the unofficial podcast of Maldon Tiptree Football Club. I'm your host, Lee Witney, and joining me, as always, it's this generation's Madge and Harold Bishop from Neighbours, Richard Buckby, Alan Taylor. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm good, mate. How are you? That's an intro and a half.
Rich, stop shaking your head.
To be fair, I don't even know who you just said, so you're far too old for that stuff. So I'm just going to stay out of it.
You need to get some
pretend...
culture into your life, I think, if nothing else. But joining this week, Rich, your little black book doesn't just have the best kebab houses in Essex. It's got some pretty decent contacts too. We have got Barrie Drewitt-Barlow, the owner of the club. Barrie, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome. Nice to see you, boys.
We've interrupted you during dinner, haven't we? And it looks like a real feast. There we.
It's like being at the old gypsy site where my sister lives with her husband.
I feel like I'm an extra on Come Dine With Me.
You'll all have to come round and have some dinner then one night and try it out.
Oh, there we go. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two minutes in, I've got a dinner invite already, or we've got a dinner invite. Sorry,
all of you.
So we just want to start off by talking about how the purchase of the club came about. So not to go over too much old ground, because I know you've spoken about this to death, I think, since you and Scott came in February. But how did the opportunity come up? How did you sort of first hear about it? And how do you go about buying a football club? Because I don't imagine there's like a right move where you can just look for football clubs for sale. So how does that happen?
Do you know, I was actually talking to somebody about a different club. And then somebody said to me, oh, you know, there is a club locally. And I'm like, no, there isn't. And they're like, yeah, actually, there is. And I'm thinking, well, I definitely don't want something like Chelmsford or whatever, because it's massive. And I knew that Spencer had just bought Chelmsford maybe 8 months before, something like that. And I knew, you know, it was going to be a bigger club and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody said, oh, you know, there is one over in Maldon. And I'm like, no, there isn't. There's definitely no football club in Maldon. I've been working there for 30 years. There's definitely no football club in Maldon. My friend's like, there's actually a club right by the side of Madison Heights. And I was like, no way. So I said to Scott, come on, get in the car. Let's go and have a look around. I want to go and have a look at this place. And then I see all these things like Jammers, and it looks a little bit run down. And I thought, I wonder if it's like a proper football club, or is it like one of these Sunday leaguey kind of, I don't know, a few guys in the pub play there at the weekend or something like that. And then I started Googling, and then I found this thing called the Jammers website or something. And I'm like, what the hell's the Jammers website? So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to send it a stupid message. And then before you know it, I was literally talking to Richard. And I was saying to Richard, I'm really interested what's going on there and all that kind of stuff. And do you think the person would be interested in maybe thinking about selling it and all that? And then I'd never met Richard before. I literally just got talking to him online, and he's like, well, actually, there was a proposed sale not so long ago that just didn't end up going through. So maybe the owners would be interested. And I didn't really know at the time, but I've learned since that literally Richard was at home in his bedroom punching the air going, please God, please God.
It wasn't just Richard. It wasn't just Richard, trust me.
No, but at that time, it literally was just, I was only talking to Richard, and it hadn't gone anywhere, or I hadn't spoken to anybody else at all, you know. And it was at that point, it was just a I wonder if kind of thing. But knowing Richard now, like I know him and the rest of you lot, it's like, I know for a fact Richard was going, please God, let this go through. Just let it go somewhere. And anyway, cut a long story short, I said, well, do you know the guys who own the club? Do you know who is it that actually owns it? And he's like, do I know the guys who own it?
Might have
Oh,
had
yeah.
some dealings with them.
I said, well,
Once or twice.
I said to you, I wonder if there's, do you think they'd mind if I just sent them a quick email? And I didn't even get the last word out, and Richard had already sent me the phone number, the email address. He told me what time of the day to make sure I got it to get the optimal time for somebody to read an email. It was like he had told me exactly who to go to, and all fair play to Richard. Put me through to the right fella, because I was literally talking to the actual owner within about 48 hours, and we were like, I was at the club within 72 hours later, and me and Scott were walking around and what have you. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't have even ended up speaking to the right person if it wasn't for Richard's help, because I didn't even know where to start. I just know that my son had told me about another club that was potentially up for sale, and he wanted to, invest some money in a club, and asked me if I'd go and have a look at that club, and I did. I did go to have a look. I won't name that club because I'm kind of actively still speaking to the person at the club about other things, and I don't want to piss anybody off or anything, but Maldon Tiptree was like, literally, I'm not just saying this, most of you three definitely know this, but other people won't, but that club door to door is 8 minutes from my house. 8 flaming minutes. I mean, come on, yeah, I've never been able to get to work so fast in my life. Literally out the door and I'm there. But I could get to the front door of that football club in 8 minutes. So it was a no-brainer. It was just a no-brainer. Plus, I went in and it was a good deal. I know it looked a bit shit at the time, and there was a lot going on, and there was a lot of bad feeling, and I could see that. But you've seen the difference that we've made already in there, and it just goes to show you that there was a really good base there for us just to lick a bit of paint over, and a little bit of cheer, and it just looks great. Even now, I know we've got a load of guys going in next week from the Jammers and what have you, with their bot buckets and hopefully garden blowers and all that shit, but it looks okay now. I think a little bit of lick of paint and some tender loving care, and honestly, in fact, oh my Lord, I walked onto the pitch today. There's a great big hole in it, by the way. But I walked to you can't even, there's boards everywhere. There isn't a flaming space left to put a sponsor board. I've never seen anything like it. And I remember at the time people were like, oh, it's going to be so difficult. You're not going to get many support, in terms of sponsors and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, mate, trust me, when you've got the right person on the phone chipping away at people, they're there. They've just got to hear the right message. They've got to speak to the right person. And that's where Richard came in again. Literally, Richard has sold 40 odd boards around that pitch. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he literally did. And then I'm having people messaging me going, oh, board, we're really interested. Any boards? We've seen you on the news. I'm like, here's Richard's number. Talk to Richard. And Richard's like, gets them in, gets his fishing net out, gets it. I swear to God, 40 bloody odd. Well, probably more now. There's definitely no room. Honestly,
If it gets any bigger, you'll be able to sell advertising space on his head.
Oh, I know. He's well deserved that. I think you've got to give credit where credit's due.
Barry, I didn't get you on this podcast to talk about me for an hour.
I'm only answering the questions, Richard.
But I think Barry is right though. Like, you can't underplay how important Richard was in like bringing you to the table, Barry, and everything he's been doing. I remember, like, because I run the Jammers socials, I remember seeing a message pop up, and I was just like, Rich, have you seen this? Have you seen his last tweet about Chelmsford? It's very interesting. Can you message him? Because if anyone's going to message people know anything about Maldon Tiptree, it's definitely Rich.
Yeah, and he did. Thank God.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I could have spoke to somebody else and it would have been, oh no, I'm not getting a good vibe from this. And,
It could be
and
speaking
don't
to
get
me.
me wrong, Richard didn't try and wrap anything up in rose-coloured glasses or anything like that. He was very straight about everything, straight to the point. Said there was a lot of issues, said people were really unhappy. You know, there wasn't a great attendance and all that kind of stuff. But what he did say was, the trouble is, there might not be a great attendance, blah, 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 but there are the people there and they want to go. You know, they love the club. They're just not in love with the current owners and they're not encouraged to go. And they, you know, there was no, I know, there was no, well, you see what it's like now. The drums are out, they're hollowing, they're screaming.
It's
and
like another world.
It's like another world. I remember when Scott and I were going at the very beginning. I mean, we put this offering and we said, "Do you know what? We put this offering and Aspen wasn't here. So, because his wife's a medical student in the US, so she was still at uni. And he was back at the house in the US. And he's like, you've got to go along. And I'm like, are you actually having a laugh? It's freezing cold. It's really dark. And it looks like shit. But we went. Our friends from the National Pool Company, they all came and they were all there every weekend with us that we went. And we went and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting a good vibe with this at all. It's just the weirdest place. It's just horrible, isn't it, in the winter? It's just horrible. And when
It
you
was
wear
horrible in the
socks.
winter.
yeah, and there's like 30 other people there, and you're like, oh God, this is never going to pay. I mean, strictly just as a business thing, I'm like, this is never going to pay for itself. My God, it's oh God, this is money down the drain, mate. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think sort of in those dark days in the winter, obviously, like when you and Scott and the guys first started coming down, I remember standing there thinking, this can't be a good first impression. There's about 140 people here. The team weren't very good. There wasn't a great atmosphere around the place. I just thought they've really got to see through some shit to see the potential and what could be done.
It
Well,
wasn't
you
even
remember
home
what that
games.
bar was like? Do you remember what that little bar? Holy crap, that was the worst. They had plastic tables on them. And a few chairs around a couple of plastic tables. It was like, I think they were like paste tables or I don't even know what they were. But it was horrendous, honestly.
Obviously, when you're going through the process, at what point did that cold call email sort of turn into reality? When did the penny really drop for you in terms of, you know, this ambition was coming to realise itself?
I think, to be honest, it was probably after the first couple of games because anybody who hasn't actually been to that site, especially at that time, it was cold and it was winter and it was, I don't know, it was boring and not a very, but you could see the potential. You know, it's in a great, I know it was a bit shit when we first got there, but that is an amazing site there, you know. It's an amazing site. We're right on the estuary. I don't know if any of you guys saw that clip of one of those drones that went up from the center.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've never seen anything more pretty in my whole life. It went straight up over the club and you could see right out into the estuary. It was incredible. It's the most beautiful. I would say ours is the best site in our league. I don't think anybody's got a stadium like ours. The location, the fan base is okay. It's getting better. But the actual location is incredible. I don't think anybody's got anything better. So for me, and plus again, remember that 8 minutes from door to door is a big, massive seller for me. My original office just down the road on the high street, again, 2 minutes from there. It's just a very sentimental site for me, so I love it. But I think the penny finally dropped when I got Aspen on a FaceTime and he watched one of the entire matches with us. And it was just, at the end of that, he went, oh yeah, we need to just get this. We need to do this. This is going to be easy for us to turn around. And I'm like, Aspen, are you sure? And he's like, trust me, Daddy, we can do this. It's easy. I went, okay. If you think he's going to be doing it and you want me to stay, because I was supposed to be going back to my house, and I've still not gone back. I'm still bloody here. I've been waiting to go home, and it's just never happened. And so here I am.
Yeah. So who's you
Go on now, you go, mate.
Yeah. So really, all I want to know is, whilst you've been talking a lot, Barry, you've been talking a lot about community and what's going on around the club. As you said, when you were first down there wasn't really many people. We were getting like 70 to 100 people a game, and now there's obviously against Heybridge 1,600. So all we really want to know is, what do you mean about community? What do you think we can or you can bring to the club?
It's really difficult because, for me, I'm part of the community anyway, because like I said, I've been working there for donkey's years. So for the last 30 years, I've had a business in Essex and predominantly in Maldon. So I know a lot of people in Maldon and around Maldon. You know, one of my business partners for another company lives and has lived in Maldon for years. His children went to the Plume School and went around there. So it's been a big area for us for donkey's years. But and in all fairness, when we came to Essex, we had £20 in our pocket. You know, I was a student at UEL. My partner Tony at the time was a clinical scientist. He's a doctor, and I was a student at UEL. I was doing my degree, and then I did my master's there. And I don't know. We came here with £20 in our pocket, and we stayed, and we made a fortune out of the high street in Maldon. So for me, it was, you know, it's just a way to give back to the people who helped us make our fortune, really, you know. So, and I like them. They're nice people. I think people kind of have always looked down on the Dengie and Maldon and that kind of thing as being that kind of backwater of Essex. And okay, we're not Brentwood, we're not even Chelmsford, but I'm not being funny or anything. They're the salt of the, I mean, pardon the pun, but they're the salt of the earth. Do you know what I mean? Nice. Maldon salt just isn't Maldon salt to me. It's the people who live there as well. You know, I think they're just down to earth, nice people. I think what you've got to remember is the population's changed as well over that 30 years that we've been knocking around here. When we came here, it really was just the locals. And even though we hadn't lived in Maldon, we were living in Bickenacre and Danbury. It was Maldon where we worked. So we got to know those people that, you know, were always kind of looked down by other Essex people. Over the last 5 to 8 years, all you can literally see are the people moving out of London into the 5,500 new homes that have been built around the area. You know, and there's a lot of, if we ever, we recently showed that Spurs match down at the clubhouse. We were packed, and they were all Tottenham Hotspurs fans. You know, so you've got all these people that have moved out of London. They've sold their ex-council houses for lots of money, and they've been able to buy lovely houses right in the middle of Maldon that they couldn't have afforded in the middle of London. You know, they've got these amazing 4 and 5 bedroom houses there. Incredible. So the population's changed as well. We've got the old Maldon, real Maldon people, but then we've got this new influx of people. We've even got a new population of people that have come in from the Ukraine, and we're working with the council at the moment to encourage those people. There's 22 families at the moment that have been relocated from the Ukraine. The Maldon Council have really helped to find them somewhere to live, and they've encouraged them to become part of the local community. And part of that is a gift of a season ticket from the club to each of those families to come along and try and integrate them into more of a local life, you know, because they're kind of segregated at the moment. A lot of them are having problems with English. You know, they don't speak English. They've got children. They've been through traumatic experiences, losing their homes or their loved ones in the Ukraine. And the local council in Maldon have been absolutely incredible with these families. They've found them somewhere to live. You know, they've really tried to help them get into community involvement programs and what have you. And I know there's a plan for us to get together with the Jammers and try and talk about what we can do for them, whether it's something we can do, something for them at Christmas time. We can encourage them to come to the club and, do a collection of toys and, like the Jammers did this thing recently to collect Easter eggs for Easter. If we could do a toy drive and try and get some toys involved, and help homes start with toys for Christmas for their families, they invite those Ukrainian families along and show them that we're here for them as well, and to try and encourage them to be part of the community. We owe it to those people that have been, I don't know, they're from a war zone. Their houses have been destroyed and they've lost family members and continue to lose family members every day, and their friends and communities have been destroyed. The least we can do is help them integrate into their new homeland. They're here to stay. We need to help them. It's the least we can do. And what you'll find with people that live in and around Maldon, then a lot of them might not have a lot of money, but they will give you their time and they will give you their energy, and they want to help. They want to be involved. And that's what you find with these salt of the earth people. They're not interested in how much money you've got. Some of these people, they talk to me like they've just met me in Asda or Tesco's. They don't care how much money we've got. And that's what I like about these people. They don't care. I go to some of these snobby places in London and they're kissing my ass. But I go around Tesco's in Maldon and they're like, all right, Barry. Half of them are Jammers, I'm walking in Chelmsford High Street 2 weeks ago, and this group of kids were walking towards me, and I'm like, oh, bloody hell, grab my handbag. And then all of a sudden they're shouting, up the Jammers, up the Jammers. And it was a bunch of our boys from the youth team that had literally just been up to, I don't know, they had been somewhere in London to some tournament, and they'd all just got back, and one of the dads is taking them all for a Nando's or something in town. It was great.
Like an ant bite.
That's really good. And especially the stuff you've said about the families from Ukraine as well, because I think football has that real thing to kind of bring a lot of people together from different walks of life. Like, speaking from my experiences, I've met people through the football club that I'd have never have met in any other walk of life. And just on that community thing, all the things around the ground when you walk in now. So we've had the Miracle for Maddie, the Offside Trust. The JFA have done their bits with the Easter eggs and the food bank collections.
And it just the air ambulance people.
Sorry?
The Essex Air Ambulance were there as well. So all of those people, they're all giving their time, they come in, and they can see what a valuable resource those people in Maldon are, and they're trying to tap into that resource, and they are. They're willing to give their time and effort. I spoke to one of those groups. I remember speaking to the guys from that Miracle for Maddie, and they were saying they go to some of these very posh dinners and all of that kind of stuff. And, they don't take half as much as they took at one of our matches.
Really? That just says a lot about the people around the club, though, doesn't it? Like you say.
Absolutely. They're very generous, welcoming. Well, I think we're really lucky because we live in a very welcoming, very open and very, giving community. Maldon and the surrounding villages, Tiptree, we've got Danbury, and we've got even I know we always have a joke about the team down the hill, but there are a lot of Haybridge people who come to our matches as well, so they're all very, very nice people.
Hold on, you were wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So towards the end of last season, you announced some really exciting plans and released the plans for upgrades around the stadium with the sauna, pool, sort of executive boxes and VIP and hospitality. Is that part of just a wider plan for the whole ground, or is that just going to be kind of a one-off build, so to speak?
Yes and no. It's not the only project we want to do on there. Our main project that we really want to focus on is a BTEC centre, so a more a more educational focused centre where we can bring youngsters between 16 and 19 in to do a BTEC course. Now, right now, we're going to focus on a football and sporting course, but what we really want to do is the same as what Wembley are offering with a media course as well. So our plan is to be able to offer different types of classes and BTECs there. Because of the smaller project we want to start with, which would be the sporting BTEC and the football BTEC, we want to focus on one smaller build right now that will focus on giving us extra seating as well for supporters for match days. And it will also give us an area for an on-site facility to be able to train our team as we go from being a hybrid team next year with, I think, a quarter of the players are going to be full-time next year, or for the next coming season. We want to build that up as we're going into the next seasons to being half the team and then eventually to a full-time full team. But to do that, we've got to have the facilities on site to be able to accommodate them and to utilize their time during the day effectively to keep the club sustainable. That's the key thing. The educational part of what we want to do there will fund the club fully because of the revenue that the government will pay for that BTEC centre to be there for those kids. We're already in talks right now with an educational facility provider. So it's already a school. This particular school has no provision for football right now, but it's something that they want to do. They have an amazing BTEC for rugby, and they have provided rugby players to both the England team, to the Saracens. Yearly, they're providing players for the Saracens. They have previous team members on the Welsh and New Zealand team right now as well. So, you know, this particular school is a very pristine school. And for it to be associated with Maldon Tiptree will just take us leaps ahead of most other BTEC schemes. Our biggest competition in terms of a BTEC will be Sudbury.
Yeah, so
go on now.
I was just going to add on to that. So that's really important, just trying to get all them foundations laid down. And part of them foundations to be important is like having people like Kev as first team manager, Jodie as women, Ash and Liam. How important and how key were they into bringing you or bringing the club to where it needs to be?
Well, you guys know better than I do, and you've definitely seen more than I have at that club. And one of the biggest things as an outsider looking in, and somebody who's run multiple businesses that have both succeeded and failed, you have to have a good core of managers in any business. And if you don't have that, I don't know, if you don't have that leadership at the top, the foundations can never cement. Because if people don't respect the people at the top, and they certainly won't listen to the people at the top, then it's not good. It's just not conducive to a good business environment. What I found was when we came in, there was no continuity in the amount of players there, or the managers, or even the coaching staff. I think all of our supporters were fed up of managers coming and going and players coming and going. You know, I look at some of these more professional teams and, you know, Elliot Justham, for example, he'd been at Dagenham for 8 years. I want to be able to say in 8 years' time, oh, we're having a testimonial for somebody who's retiring and they've been with us for 8 years. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes, waiting for people to leave. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes for the next good person to take over the one that we want to get rid of in a week's time. I want to commit to the players that we want to bring in. And that's why it was important for us to look out of our league. I don't want to go for players who are constantly in our league, who are going from one club to another every season, like I could tell was happening. I looked at some of the names we had on our team, and they've been at 4 or 5 of the same people that we'll be playing in the next 4 or 5 games. So honestly, it was just ridiculous. I wanted to go above where we were so that when I bring them down, if if we had a miracle season this year or next year, whatever, and we get out of this league like I really want us to do, I want to keep the players. I don't want to be dumping them at the end of the season once they've tried to get us out of this league or got us out of this league. So I needed to find players who are going to be comfortable, not just in our league, but in at least a league or two above. Well, the only way to do that is to bring them down, because I can't find people who are in our league that are good enough to get us into another league, but stay there and then stay in the next one. If I was just to use the people in our league and pick the best ones in our league, then by the end of the league, they've got us through to another league, but I'm getting rid of the buggers and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to give them, I want them to feel that they're part of a journey that isn't just going to be a one season journey. I want them to feel comfortable enough with us that they want to stay. Obviously, people are going to come and go. I get that completely. But I really want them to come and love the club, love the supporters, and want to stay. So I had to go out of our league to bring them down, to get us out and stay with us for at least a couple more leagues.
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's just future proofing, isn't it? Because rather than ripping the squad up at the end of every season and starting again, like you say, you're kind of only needing to make minor tweaks and additions here and there if you're kind of building sort of two divisions higher.
Yeah, and that is it exactly. You know, we took a couple of the Chelmsford players for our new season. I tell you what, you will notice, because I know you guys haven't actually met a lot of these players yet. It's like an Amazon warrior squad. Oh my Lord. I'm used to looking at the players in our league and they're like 5'3" and what have you. And don't get me wrong, we do have a couple of 5-foot-something players. But my God, wait until you see. They're going to walk out onto the pitch, shake hands with all their opponents in that line thing that they all do. And our lads are going to be like 3 foot above all of these other ones. They look like warriors. When they go to, they trying all these tops on, all that kind of stuff. They're standing there. They're like 6'3", 6'4". They've got the most incredible athletic bodies. And I see them running across the pitch, and they've done the whole pitch in like 5 strides. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
So
Amazon warriors, this team is.
Have you had to raise the ceilings then in the changing rooms? Is that part of the stadium redesign?
And you know what? I've got to give a shout out to Scott, Damien and Lewis, because they have ripped those changing rooms apart and completely redone them. I tell you right now, there is no other team, a league above or below, that will have changing rooms like ours. But my God, wait till you see our physio room. It is completely out of this world. We made it look like one of our clinical rooms at one of our clinics. When our physio gets back in for the pre-season, she's going to die. She's got literally, she's got marble floors. Literal, not fake. She's got marble floors, mate. Let me tell you. And she's got this I can't even begin to tell you. I'm going to have to post a picture so you can have a look.
Are you going to do that? Do you remember? Did you ever watch changing rooms where they obviously bring the people in who are having their house renovated, rather, and they sort of cover their eyes or like, open your eyes? You should do that. Her reaction then.
Oh my God, they're going to die. You know, he's been so mean as well, because I said, look, make sure that the visitors changing room looks nice. We want it to look really nice. And I've got 20 people standing behind me going, are you actually having a laugh? No. It's going to look dingy and crappy. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let them come and it be crappy. So I've had them replaster everywhere. I told them to rechange all the seats, all that. I said the showers need to be done. Their little physio room, we built a little physio room for them as well. But I'll go in there yesterday and I'm like, hang on, there's something different in here. They've only plasterboarded all the windows over and replastered the walls. There isn't a bloody window in the place. They've literally covered the whole windows.
So, Barry, obviously in the last week, the club have announced the first ladies manager, which is brilliant. It's a brilliant foot in the right direction in terms of ladies football and recognising the growth that is going through, and something perhaps the club should have done a while ago. How excited are you, one, to welcome Jodie to the club, and how far do you think, or what's the ceiling on the ladies team? And maybe there isn't a ceiling, but how far do you think they can go?
you know what? I'm all for the women's game. That's the thing. And I know a lot of people are not really into that. I get it. They're all into men's football and everybody loves men's football. But I'm telling you right now, ladies football is going to change. In the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be massive. Absolutely. I think it's massive now, to be honest with you, compared to what it was 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah,
but you wait another 5 to 10 years, it is going to be incredible. Okay, crowds are not quite there yet as on a local level, but trust me, they will. And what's really making the difference right now are the dads with the daughters who want to play football. They're the ones who are bringing the daughters along. They're loving it. I've literally met so many walking around Tesco's yesterday. My God. Scott's like, come on, let's go and get a sandwich from Tesco's. We're going to Tesco's, park the rolls outside in a disabled spot. Yes, I had to park in a disabled spot to that lady who moaned at me because it won't fit in a regular spot. It's just too damn wide. So I appreciate you couldn't get your wheelchair back into the car, but I was literally 2 minutes. I ran in and out. But just in all fairness, I didn't want it to get scratched. So I'm walking around Tesco's and this guy comes up to me with his daughter and he goes, yeah, this is Barry. And I'm like, oh, hello, how's it going? And she's like, oh, when are you going to do a girls team? And I'm like, the girls team? And she went, no, I see you've got the adult team going and you've got this person in, but will you do some girls classes? Because me and about 5 or 6 of my mates really want to do. And the dad was saying, we can't believe we could, it's so going to be local. She wants to come down when the ladies team are playing. She wants to get a ticket. She wants to come and watch the matches. People want it, and it's the young girls with their dads now that are really wanting it. It's incredible. And a couple of your jammers came to me and said, my daughter now sits with us because she's seen all this stuff on social media about the club. My daughter actually wants to sit and come to the games with us at home in Maldon. A lot of your members are actually bringing their daughters because they're seeing it all on social media and they want to see what all the hype's about and they're loving it. The vibe is so different. When we came down, we used to see the odd elderly lady coming with her husband. Now you've got 1,000 girls and like young and they want to watch what's going on and they can see all this stuff on social media. I tell you what, the buzz right now for women is incredible. They love it. Once our lady football team gets off the ground and we chuck a bit of resource behind, and I'll tell you something, what I don't get is, why are the clubs not investing in their women's teams and they make the ladies pay for their stuff? The ladies have to pay for their kits. They pay subs to be there. They don't get any help to get to matches. They don't get food after the thing. They don't even have a physio most of the time. When I say to these people that are wanting to join our group, oh yeah, we have a full-time physio. Yeah, you get fed at the end of it. What do you mean you don't get? You have to pay for you have to pay for your kit. No, we're the club. We'll pay for your kit. And if we need you to go and play a game in Canby or wherever, we'll pay you petrol money. Don't worry. You'll get expenses to get there. They're like, are you having a laugh? And we're like, well, no. But they were telling us they have to pay for every single thing themselves. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I think it is crazy. And Lee, I know you're quite invested in the ladies' game. Just how much of a difference do you think that will make to the local area and the ladies' game in general?
I think our ladies locally have been going elsewhere because it's not been available on their doorstep. And I think people want it. Honestly, I know it's hard to try and fathom it right now, but trust me, people want women's football, and there are so many women that actually want to play. So let's give it a go and let's see what happens. I reckon we can produce a team that gets to the Premiership of women's football faster than we could do with men's because of all the competition out there right now. And I think the quality of the women players locally in Essex is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of been watching women's football for sort of nearly 15 years, but it's never been for me women's and men's football. It's just been football. It's more of the same thing I love, but just in a different form. And to see, like you say, to see where it was to where it is now,
Oh,
I mean,
crazy.
I was at Wembley on Friday night for the England game, and it was kind of disappointing that there were only 49,000 there. But 10, 12 years ago, I was watching a game and there were 5,000 people there.
And that was for the women's game?
Yes, yeah.
And how many was there?
It was 49,000.
Oh my God.
But
that's incredible.
Yeah, but that was because of what England have done recently. That was seen as, oh, that's quite disappointing. But it's a Friday night. They weren't playing the best team in the world. And just where it is now and where it is going, I think you're right. It is huge. And you say
when you think what the numbers were just for Southend and Oldham, you know, you've got two big men's teams there, and they only managed to get 52,000. Mate, that's not bad. That's on a par.
Yeah, but just the difference between then and now is huge. It is like night and day. And you saying about the amount of girls that are getting interested and want to come down and watch the women's game. There's so many more guys my age who are watching women's football now. Like my mate and his brother-in-law have got Arsenal season tickets, and like they go along and they're really invested in it. It's like I say, it's not a case of women's football and men's football. It's just football. And if we as Maldon fans have more clubs to support, that's only a good thing. And I think that the area we're in, obviously you've got Southend, Colchester and Chelmsford. There's no one else within that area. So there's a huge sort of amount of potential to be tapped into there for sure.
There is a lot. And you know what? We just need our guys. We need how many members in the JFA now?
Just over 100.
You know, you've got over 100 people there. We can get them invested in not just our men's first team, but our women's team and our under 18s. You know, we've just been accepted into the furlough non-league. That's amazing. Don't you think? I think it's just, I was gobsmacked. Liam was like over the moon. He's like, we've made this application and don't know if we're going to get in there. And then he went away, spoke to the guys, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get you in. And they got us in. And how incredible. We've got this.
So is that for the women's side?
No, that's for the men's under 18.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So they've got, we won't know for the women's team right now, Lee, until July, because the way it kind of works for the women, they don't just put you in a league. We have to present at this. It's like not an exhibition. What do they call it? It's a seminar when all the clubs get together, and you've got to go. You've got to speak to the Essex FA people at this seminar, and you've got to argue with them about where you want to be and why you want to be there. Because what they don't want to do is they don't want me to set up a club or anybody else to set up a club, bring the best manager in, and I can hand pick and pay for the best 16 women that I can find and then be put in the very bottom league, because we're going to beat everybody 13-0. So we're going to demoralize everybody in that league. So we've got to go present who our manager is, present who our potential team is and where we think they're going to be within the system. Then they have to go away and think about it, and then they'll put our team in a league where they think we're on par with the people in that league. That's apparently the way it works. So we could end up anywhere with our women's team. It's going to depend on who we actually get in terms of players to go along with our fantastic new manager. I just would like to encourage the Jammers and our other supporters who are not part of the Jammers to not just support our men's first team, but to really get behind our under 18s. For us, the under 18s is a really important. It's a pathway to a couple of really good potential players coming through to the first team at some point. And I would really love it if we could get the Jammers and our fans to get behind them, encourage them. We need to give those kids the encouragement to do better and get on and fight for a place on the first team. It's easy to go and encourage people to come from other teams, but I really want some homegrown talent. And I think we've got some that are just going off to other clubs. We lost 2 last year, by the way, to bloody Ipswich. 2 of our youth team players were scouted by Ipswich. Honestly, because they had no pathway with us. We had nowhere to put them.
Yeah, I think you drive past the prom on a Saturday morning and you see hundreds of kids playing, and just that untapped potential is there. And I think if there's a pathway and a route through, then there's like you say, there's definitely talent out there, isn't there?
There's so much talent. I don't know. I just think we're so lucky because there's a massive talent pool out there. There's a massive talent pool for women. There's a massive talent pool for the youth, not just in the amazing group of boys and few girls that we've got on our youth teams, but there are other local youth teams that we could benefit from as well. You know, Heybridge has got a great youth set up, and lots of other clubs have as well. So it'd be nice to be able to see what's around and encourage them. I just hope that, we've got a lot of good coaches as well. That's going to really help us. We've really gone to town on trying to get the right people in.
So, since you've taken over the club, Barry, there's obviously going to be challenges and everything. I heard you joking on another podcast about being fined by the league multiple times.
Yeah.
I think Rich knows what the league's like. He's had dealings with them as well before. But since taking over, what has been your biggest challenge or biggest challenges?
I think the biggest challenge was communication, or the lack of it, to start with. I think it was difficult to try and maneuver the purchase of the club with the group of fans that were there, because it was difficult for them to try and comprehend somebody coming in with good intentions when they've been battered with a stick for so long. And, I think a lot of people felt that coming from a group of people who have a property development part of their business portfolio, maybe this was another thing to buy a piece of land and put some houses on it. And that was actually never a thought in our whole process, apart from the fact that our particular club comes with so many covenants and so much this and so much that. Richard would tell you, even now we're having trouble to try and locate certain people that are down as trustees and all of that kind of stuff. So, it's still an ongoing process to try and cement everything together. I mean, long term, it's going to be an amazing project. But I think in terms of the biggest challenge, it was trying to work out things with the land, the issues around who owned what and what any covenants were and what was allowed and what was not allowed, and the council. What I will say, our council in Maldon has been incredible. They have tried to help us in every way possible, and they're still trying to help us now. They don't do pre-planning applications anymore for businesses that are not producing estates of houses. They don't do pre-planning applications anymore in Maldon Council for you to do something to your house. You've got to go in with a full application. And they've bent the rules for us, and they've said, well, actually, because of the size of the project you're planning to put on that particular site, we are going to actually look at it as a major project. And because of what you're trying to do for the community, this is the community project. So you know what? We are going to give you a pre-planning application, and we're going to allow you to do it. So by doing that, I mean, we could just go straight into an application and that's it. But then you go 6 to 8 months back when they come back with 20 questions. It's easier for them just to come and look at the project, look at the ground, and help us put a planning application together that between us we think will pass the main planning, and that will save us 8 to 12 months, in the initial planning stage. So, I've got to say, Essex Council have been a pain in the ass, but Maldon Council have bent over backwards to want to help us.
And I think, obviously, Barry, you've been quite vocal in the last couple of days, and this will go out in a few days. But in the last week or so, you've been pretty vocal on social media around your struggles in trying to firm up and cement the kit and club's merchandise for for the coming season. And I know you're going to release something on it in due course, but just how difficult is that, and is there any update, and how are things progressing? Because I think supporters are quite keen to get their hands on a shirt as soon as possible.
Yes.
So One of the things that we found was that there are certain areas within this business that can be strangleholded by bigger companies. And what you find in our kind of league is there isn't a lot of money to go around with the clubs. You know, they're barely scratching a living, and they're barely scratching to pay the bills in some cases. And that's the same with kits. You know, to buy kits for your team and for the youth and all of that kind of stuff, it's expensive. You're talking about 30 odd to 40 odd £1,000. It's a lot of money. You know, when you're talking about hundreds of kits for youth, and you know, you've got your men's first home and away, then you might have your under 18s, and if you've got a women's side, you've got them to think about. And you know, I know a lot of clubs make their women pay for their teams, or their under 18s pay, or they have to go and find a sponsor. But we're trying to do things a little bit differently. We're not reliant on finding a sponsor to pay for the kit. We can pay for the kit ourselves, but predominantly a lot of people who provide kits give the first team kits free. So they do this free of charge kit to get the other business, you know, and that other business means the youth team or the women's team or whatever team that predominantly have found sponsors to pay that bill. And I always take umbrage when I see things that I don't feel are fair. And, you know, I think there's enough business to go around for everybody, if I'm being really honest with you. And so I became quite vocal this week because I could see moving parts within a contract that I thought was okay, that after I read it, I didn't think it was okay. And I'm all for being fair. That's the thing. I want people to do well in their business. I want the kit companies to do well in their business too. But I don't want to feel like we've been ripped off. You know, I don't want you to tell me you're giving me something for nothing, but you're taking the money off me in another area. I don't think that's fair at all. Give it me for nothing and then do me a deal on the other stuff, or just sell it me, take your money, and I'll go somewhere else for the other kit that you want to make the money off. And I couldn't get to an agreement with 2 or 3 kit suppliers, not just one. It was 2 or 3. So it isn't, I can't just single out one company that wanted to do this. However, one company did come back to me on Twitter, and I want to make it categorically clear right now that it actually wasn't that particular company that I had the biggest problem with. It's just that they were the only ones who wanted to answer some of the things that were being said. And that's fine. I really appreciate that. And I actually quite liked the fact that that particular company had something to say back, because some of the points that they were making were really quite valid. I can find an argument to
Never.
make, but there's no point, because the things that he was actually saying were right, you know, and I can understand it's a business at the end of the day, and you've got to offset giving freebies away in other areas, and totally get that. We do it in other areas of our businesses too. So I'm not criticizing them at all. I'm just stating the facts of how it works is sometimes unfair, and it can cripple other people. But what I will say is the company that did come back, because of the way they came back, I decided that I wanted to go with them as a company because I liked the arguments that they were putting forward. So I signed a contract with those people, and that company was ProKit. And so I signed a contract with them today.
Brilliant. So,
and they promised me that there would be a website up and running by the end of the week. So hopefully ProKit are actually watching this. Then we did promise you'd have that website up by Friday, and it is Tuesday today.
We'll
so
tag you in it.
hopefully there'll be a website up where supporters can go ahead and buy the kit from Friday.
Brilliant. And I think lots of supporters, and Lee, they'll do your side, don't panic. But a lot of supporters have wanted to get their hands on a kit. I've had numerous people that want Father's Day gifts and want to be able to buy it in time. So yeah, I mean, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
really, really good.
And you know why we ended up going with this supplier as well? They are professional, and they can see the value in the contract. You know, we haven't just signed a 6-month contract with them. We've gone all out. We've signed a 3-year deal with them so that we can make sure that our supporters are looked after and all the rest of it. And we need, at the moment, I'm trying to find a way that what we want to be able to do is give our jammers, people who are in this club, a discount. So we need to come up with our supplier a discount code that they can put in to give them that discount. So we're working on it. We just haven't quite got there yet, but it's their website that's going to be able to give them that discount. Either that, or we'll have to buy the kit into the club, and the jammers themselves will have to come in and buy the kit from the club so that they can get that discount. But either way, we'll work it out. That's another good reason to join the jammers. I think you have to pay £10 to join this club, but you're going to make that back in buying a kit or buying a hat or buying a scarf or buying whatever. So really, you're joining a group for nothing just to get the discount code to be able to use it at the club. I think we're doing it on food as well. So for the new season, you'll be able to go and get one of Ocean's jerk chicken boxes with a discount thing on that as well. So it's definitely worth joining the jammers just to get that discount code, mate. I tell you.
That's some breaking news right there.
Yeah, are you 3 part of the jammers as well? I know you are, Alan, because you're the chairman. But are you Richard and are you Lee?
Yeah, so
we formed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was Lee's. It was Lee's
Do you still
idea.
pay your £10 subs though?
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a man of the people. I pay my £10 subs.
And £10 hot dogs.
I mean, that discount code on the food next year might see me into an early grave, to be honest.
Oh shit, no.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Because every time I see a photo of you, Lee, you're either ramming not a hot dog or one of those beef patty. What do you call them in England? Not a beef pate.
Burger.
A burger. You're eating a burger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I can't escape the paparazzi. I know how you must feel.
Honestly, it's terrible.
I
see this picture floating around of me and Stacey Dooley at the Haybridge match, and all I can see is you in the background with this bloody great big burger.
Oh, there's not.
Yeah, there is.
I wasn't aware that there was a photo of that.
Honestly, it's terrible.
No. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, I know.
I think they're gonna form a calendar of all the pictures of me eating throughout the year.
Either that or a dartboard.
I know, right?
You've spoken about some of the challenges. What's like really excited you since you took over? What's been a moment where you've just gone, this I kind of get it now, like why people do this?
I think it's the interaction with the fans, and I guess trying to build a team. You know, I don't like to lose. I like to win, and I want our team to win. And I've seen the buzz around the local area and the way people are, and I just love the way people are now about the club. And you know, even up the high street in Maldon, people are talking about the club. You know, people are booking their Christmas parties there, and I don't know, it's just literally the buzz. I love the buzz. So I'm getting into that. And, you know, the only thing I can't understand is still that offside rule, but I'm starting to understand more stuff about football and why people love it and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I just feel thankful that the supporters, and not just the supporters, but the people who have become our supporters since the takeover, and the local people, you know, have listen to the story and they're interested now. And I don't know, people are just talking about Maldon and Tiptree. The amount of messages I get on social media from people up and down the country. I tell you what I found really interesting. A couple of days ago, our community liaison person, Andrew, came in and he went, when did we start selling bucket hats on eBay? And I'm like, I have no idea. Let me have a look at them. And people are actually selling fake hats now on eBay with our logo on it. I'm like, and then we tracked down the person. We tracked down the person who's selling these bucket hats, and it's some guy in Crewe. somewhere in Crewe anyway, and he lives. His postcode on his thing on eBay was like some terraced house in some housing estate in Crewe. And when you look at the other things that he sells Manchester United, Manchester City. He's got all these big clubs, and just at the side he's got Maldon and Tiptree. I'm just like, oh my God, we're getting so well known that we're having fake merchandise for us. I'll be turning up in Bangkok with Pim and Aspen in a few months, and they'll be selling Maldon and Tiptree shirts on one of these fake stands.
Were you tempted to buy a hat just to check out the quality? See if he might be able to put you in touch with his supplier?
I couldn't. I just couldn't.
I've just found the design. It ain't Barry's style, let me tell you.
Did you find it?
I've just found it online. Yeah.
Oh my!
Well, you need to share that. You need to put it out on Twitter and Instagram, Rich.
Yeah. I just won't share the link because it'll probably make too much money.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
But I think Barry, as we draw to a close, and we're really grateful for you disturbing your dinner and giving up your time. But you've mentioned there about Christmas parties, and there's been comedy nights which have been well supported, and you've touched on previously around the club. Although it's going to have your investment, your support, it does need to find a way to become a little bit more self-sustainable. Just tell us a bit more about those events and how important they're going to be for building that sustainability amongst the club in the longer term.
You know what? It's like any business. You need to be bringing some money in to pay the bills. You can't constantly be putting your own hands in your own pocket and all of that. It just becomes unsustainable if you do that. And the only way a football club like this can make any money is to use the resources that it's got available. And the one thing that our club really has is an incredible clubhouse. We've got the space. We've literally, I don't know if any of you guys have seen online yet, but we applied for a wedding license, and I think we get a decision in the next 2 weeks if that's been accepted or not, so that we can literally do weddings, not just hold the receptions, but physically do a wedding from the halfway line if we want to, I guess. But
down the tunnel.
All right. But For us, we want to be able to do the weddings. We want to do birthday parties. We want to do these Christmas parties and all that. We've got a local theatre group coming in and putting on the Greatest Showman for a few nights over Christmas. We've already sold 2 nights out of that. So we can see people want it. We're now starting to sell the party nights for Christmas, the DJs and all that kind of stuff. So for us, we just need the support of our friends in the local business community that are going to be going out with people from their organisations for party nights for Christmas and all that. Think about us, come to us, we're going to be putting money back on the high street. We want and we encourage our supporters to go on the high street and spend money there. And we want you guys to physically be able to make money as well. So, it's networking. It's about being part of the community and putting money back into our community in Maldon, not going off into Chelmsford or London or whatever. Use the resources that are local to you and put some money back on the high street, because the high streets are a dying things now in the UK. It's so easy, isn't it, to go to Tesco's and do a one-stop shop rather than go up the high street and go in the butchers or the bakers or and don't get me wrong, I'm one of the worst people for doing it. There's plenty of times when it's been a month or 2 I've been on the high street, and the only time I go up is to run into Greggs and get a steak bake. But now I'm on Monjavo, I want to go to the butchers and the vegetable places.
So Barry, just on that. So I look back at a video that you and I did probably in December. I can't believe how different you look. It's when I put the 2 videos alongside each other, you look like a bit dropped off you, to be honest.
Well, come on, it's not just me. You've lost a lot of weight as well. So
I think all of us could.
Lost a bit. I've lost literally since Christmas 5 stone.
That's amazing. Yeah, amazing.
That's incredible.
I know. I've tried for years. No, literally, I've tried. No, hell no. He's lost so much weight. Look at his face now. He's all chiseled.
I thought they were filters. Sorry. Just one last question, and then we'll let you enjoy your evening. I think it's the question that we've been wanting to ask all night. What's for dessert?
Well, I've missed dessert, but I can quickly show you that
Sorry.
my homemade Chinese is going cold. And everybody's abandoned me. They've all gone into the living room now as well. I know.
I think we should let you go and join them. Thank you so much for your time, and I don't think I'm talking out of turn when I say thank you, because you've saved our football club. I don't think it's too dramatic to say that. So, thank you.
But let me tell you one thing before I
go.
Team. Well, thank you. One last thing from me is, if you think what we've done so far is good, oh my God, you wait till the new season. I can't begin to tell you what we've got planned. I'm so excited.
We look forward to it.
And you know me, I really want to tell you, but I can't.
You can tell us off. You can tell us offline. Right, it's fine.
I can. I really want to. I just will say though, you know, we've had record sales in our season tickets. We doubled the number of season tickets that we sold in the previous last couple of years, which again wouldn't be difficult, I know, but you know, we literally over the weekend have now hit double the number of last seasons. I think we'll get a number out. I think we've got 3 more weeks at this discounted rate to sell more tickets, and then we'll announce how many we've actually sold. But we're so pleased, and we can't thank everybody enough. But you know, if you want to buy a season ticket, get one soon rather than later, because they go back up to the original price as we're coming up to the season and what have you. If you've got time for pre-season, come to the Chelmsford match, the hashtag match. They're both at home. There is a Southend match, not Southend, a Colchester match with us coming up. So please do that one. We're actually going to Canvey Island. I'm really looking forward to that because I've not been to their ground yet. And somebody said it's quite a nice ground. So, did they lie?
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's cold though, Barry.
I don't know. I'm
cold.
looking at Alan's face and he's saying no.
The wind comes straight off the sea. I think it's the only ground in the UK where you can see ships over the back of the goal. So
it's below sea level, I think, isn't it?
It is below sea level, yeah.
Wow.
You'll need your socks for sure.
Well, that's really.
You don't wear socks.
I don't wear socks. No socks in my house. Okay, but pre-season is going to be very good because it gives you an insight into some of the players. What even some of the players must be aware of, but I've not been in a conversation with them about yet, is pre-season for us is going to be total evaluation time for those players that haven't been released. So, you know, they've got a lot to play for because we've got a lot of very, very, very good players coming in. Very good players coming in to be able to be on a par with them. You know, they know themselves whether they're going to be sitting on the bench or whether they're going to get a game. You know, I know there's another couple of announcements coming this week. There's one announcement. Well, actually, there's 2 announcements for players who were with us for last year that I know a lot of our current fans really would like to stay. And at least one of those players is definitely staying. And let me tell you, it has been a fight to keep this particular player because of some other activities he's been involved with. He's had offers, very serious offers from at least one Premiership club in Scotland wanted him on a very good contract.
I can see why he stays.
I know. Scotland there. But one Premiership club in whatever their Premiership is in Scotland, I don't know how you say it, but whatever their top people are in Scotland, he's had one of them chasing him for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been difficult to even try and keep this particular player interested because he's got so much demand right now. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how much demand this player's got. But he decided a couple of nights ago that Maldon Tiptree is where he wants to be right now for at least the next season.
It's where everyone wants to be, let's be honest.
He wants to be with us right now.
On the Essex Riviera.
The Essex Riviera, honestly, when that thing went up in the air from our centre pitch, it took my breath away. Do you three not think we've got one of the best spots? Come on, seriously.
Oh,
yeah,
it is beautiful. If you walk along that sea wall, you can almost see the top of the pitch, and it's lovely.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm talking to the council at the moment about doing some kind of a memorial area so that people like our hardcore fans, if they've lost a loved one or whatever, or their loved one was there, that we could have somewhere where we can plant a load of roses and they can have their ashes scattered and stuff. I've just got to get some permission from the council. So I'm talking to them at the moment about doing something. I just need to work out where we could do it, because honestly, it's the best place for some kind of a memorial garden or something, you know.
No, brilliant. No, thank you so much for your time, Barry. We shall see you very soon, hopefully, as well.
See you later. There's a comment with my name on it.
Thanks, Barry. Take care.
Take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything the three of you do as well. I really appreciate you all.
Not
Thanks,
a
Barry.
problem at all.
No problem, Barry.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that was Barrie Drewitt-Barlow. It's always really good to speak to him, isn't it? You never know quite what he's going to say, but you can hear the passion in his voice. I think he might be enjoying it a little bit more than he thought he would.
Yeah, I think that's so rightly. I think anyone that speaks to Barry, considering he knew nothing about football, best part of 9 months ago, is you can feel the passion, and I think it's infectious. So yeah, it was really good to hear him, give up his evening, come and speak to us three, and it was brilliant to hear. And I think, as you said before he left us, what he saved our football club, and words don't put it into justice how grateful we all are, I don't think.
I think you're right there, Rich. It's a passion. You can almost tell it's almost turned into a love for him. And it helps with the fans, and that everyone speaks to him nicely and treats him nicely. I think I haven't seen a smile on your face like that for a while, Rich. Obviously giving you your kudos. But
anyone would think, right? So if you're still listening to this podcast, an hour and however long we've been here, I did not ask Barry to come on this podcast and blow my trumpet for an hour. So that was in no way set up.
I just need to track down this photo of me in the background of him and Stacey Dooley eating a burger.
Maybe you shouldn't.
I can get it deleted off the internet. But so we will be back in 2 weeks. Rich, I dare say you'll have another stellar guest on as well.
I believe so. Yeah. I think the next, I won't give any spoilers, but the next couple are lined up. So yes, as we said, I think last time we're here to stay. So really excited.
Me and Al don't even know who they are.
You don't? No. And I'll keep you in suspense until they turn up, perhaps.
That's absolutely fine. Just buy me dinner first.
If I must. But you'll be at Barry's for dinner, so it's all right.
Absolutely. That's fine by me. On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.